What's going on, Guardians? It's Tizzle here, and today I want to have a discussion about which Day 1 contest mode dungeon was harder, Vesper's Host or Sundered Doctrine. If you completed both, let me know which you found tougher and why, but I think I have the right answer and I will elaborate on why in this video. So Sundered Doctrine released recently, and teams everywhere competed for the first ever World's First Dungeon trophies. And in the end, Biggs, Luigi Style, and Mario Monkey came out on top with a time of 5 hours and 17 minutes. Where with Vesper's Host, it was cleared by Pine, Special Hero, and Tides in only 4 hours and 22 minutes, and 12 teams cleared in 6 hours. Where with Sundered, 25 teams cleared in 6 hours, and these numbers were even off because some of the top teams like Salta Greppo actually finished, but they returned to orbit before looting the final chest. And I think this data actually really says a lot about how difficult or not difficult Day 1 Sundered Doctrine was, or rather, what that difficult aspect was. In the first 7 hours of Sundered Doctrine, 130 teams cleared, compared to only 26 in Vesper's Host. My team finished 59th with a time of 8 hours and 5 minutes. To put that into context, nearly 300 teams finished Sundered in about the same time. Despite the first clear on Vespers being done almost an hour earlier, so other teams would have learnt some strats and what to use on each encounter, and would have known these strats for an hour longer than people in Sundered Doctrine did. And what is funny is I didn't know all these stats before making this video. Rather, I had my own opinion that Vesper's Host was a far harder Day 1 dungeon than Sundered. And the reason for that is my contest clear of Sundered Doctrine only took me about 5 hours. I was away on launch day traveling home from a friend's wedding, so I didn't get to run it until Saturday on contest with my friends who had already beaten it. And this confirmed something for me, that the challenge with Sundered Doctrine was due to mechanics and not combat. Where with Vesper's Host, the combat was extremely difficult on the final boss. Interestingly, more people actually cleared Vesper's Host according to Emblem Report, 40,870 versus 37,816 for Sundered Doctrine. And I'm making this video before the return of contest mode, which will be in about a week. So these are both for 48-hour clears. Unfortunately, PSN was down for a long time during the Sundered Doctrine contest dungeon, so many PlayStation players who probably would have cleared didn't get to clear it. So let's just say the total clears would have been about even. But in 12 hours, 1,500 teams beat Sundered Doctrine and only 400 beat Vespers. So a lot of clears came after the first 12 hours for Vesper, and I think I know why. 2 game-breaking discoveries were made with Vesper's Host. One is that there was some type of revive glitch where you could get unlimited revive tokens. I'm not really sure how it worked, but I know it existed. This is one of the toughest things about contest mode, is running out of revives. You have to be on point and stay alive for 3 grueling damage phases. And in Vesper's Host, that was very difficult because the boss fight was extremely dangerous. So a lot of people got clears that wouldn't have otherwise. The other big thing was people found a safe zone to do damage in a Well of Radiance, and the Grand Overture strat was known after the first 12 hours. So a ton of people just abused the res glitch and then the safe place for damage on the boss. If these exploits didn't exist, I have no doubt Vespers would have had a lot less clears. And that is because Vesper's Host was extremely demanding from an execution standpoint. Combat difficulty was very hard, where with Sundered, once you figured out the mechanics, it was a cakewalk. There was very little combat difficulty. Like I said, on the second day, my clear only took around 5 hours because my teammates knew what to do. Zoetic Lockset took us the longest, and we actually cleared final boss on my first attempt, and it was a chill 3 phase. There is no way you would have ever beaten the Corrupted Puppeteer on contest on your first pull if you hadn't experienced the fight yet. That fight was very tough and extremely chaotic. And then you had a really strict damage check on a boss that was very hard to deal damage to because you were juggling so many things at once. It really separated the men from the boys. The people who were good in combat versus those who weren't. And I think that really speaks to who won the world's first, because Special Hero was on the team, and he's about as good in combat as anyone in the game. He has all 9 world record GMs from last season. Combat is his area of expertise, so it's no shock that he was on the team that got the first clear. Evan F 1997 has a video on the Sundered Doctrine race where he interviews the winning team, and they said once they knew how to get to damage, they cleared it on the very first pull afterwards. This is like what happened in Root of Nightmares with my team. We beat the planet's boss, and I still had a freaking machine gun on because we were still learning mechanics. That is not a strict enough damage check. And with Zoetic, the reason it took my friends and I a while is because that boss is bugged right now where it's not taking crit damage, and apparently surges aren't working on it either. Also, ignitions and unravel and stuff also don't work. But if crits had been working on contest, that boss would have got smoked. It felt like a fair damage check on contest, but that is because it was bugged. So what it comes down to is two different philosophies of game design. The two hardest day 1 encounters in raid history were probably Vault from Last Wish and Verity from Salvation's Edge. But once you learn how to do those, they are much easier on repeat run-throughs. So the challenge is figuring out the mechanic in a day 1 scenario when you are tired, and also having to do it while dealing with powerful combatants thanks to contest. First encounter of Sundered Doctrine was only tough because you didn't know the optimal lens placements and you were working against a timer. So if you weren't good at the pathing, the time requirement was strict. Where my team in Vespers was fucking cracked and we smoked the first encounter with over a minute to spare because it relied on killing enemies quickly and not so much of doing the mechanics. Second encounter, both were mostly just damage checks, though Sundered definitely had more confusing mechanics leading up to damage. And then final boss, again, it was all about learning how to deal damage. Once you did, it was basically game over. Like I said, I beat it on my first try with 2 teammates who knew the mechanics, where with Vespers, the mechanics were all quite easy. It was executing and dealing good damage and surviving that was the challenge. Now, I'm not saying one way or the other is better, they're both cool first time experiences, but for me, I definitely preferred Vesper's host. I like the combat in this game and I like when I'm challenged. I don't play this game for the mechanics, especially in a dungeon. I get my fill of mechanics in raids, and I don't need them encroaching on my favorite activity. But some people do like this, and as long as Sundered is a one-off on heavy mechanics in dungeons, then I'm fine with it. I just hope the reliance on more complex mechanics doesn't become a trend in future dungeons. I want to go back to being challenged by combat in day 1 dungeons. Anyways, that's pretty much it. I just thought it would be an interesting discussion topic, and I wanted to get my thoughts out there on what made each contest dungeon fun, unique, and challenging. Let me know your thoughts on the contest dungeons down below, and hit the like button for me, and subscribe if you aren't already. And if you're still here, then thanks for watching to the end. I'll catch you in the next one. Take care. Hey, if you're still here, then thanks so much for watching to the end. If you like what I do and you want to support me further, then consider becoming a channel member. You'll get your name featured on the end screen, custom badges, and other cool rewards. You can also join my community Discord if that interests you, and if you want to see me stream, be sure to follow me on Twitch at itstizzle7 where I stream semi-regularly. Those are linked in the description. Anyways, that's enough self-promotion. Thanks for watching. Take care.